Hello and welcome to another exciting session. So in this session, we'll be covering time value of money. So whether you're in business, you're studying, you are financing your house, you're financing your car, you can be able to use these calculations of time value of money to determine your installment, to determine the balance still outstanding on your amount that you're financing, or to determine the impact of the changes in the repo rate that they can have on your installment. So after going through this session, you're expected to have obtained an understanding on the following: understand the time value of money and the impact of interest compounding, setting up an HP financial calculator, and also understanding the functions of an HP financial calculator. So with regards to time value of money, it is essentially a concept that an amount is worth more today than what the same amount will be worth at a future date due to the impact of interest. So with regards to setting up of our financial calculator, so in terms of doing your calculations of time value of money, you can use even your Excel spreadsheet. You can also use a Sharp financial calculator or a Casio. But in this session, we'll be focusing on the HP. So the first step with regards to setting up your financial calculator is to clear your memory. So if you want to clear memory, because this calculator will store all your data, that any previous calculations that you'd have performed. So you press the Shift button and the C button to clear all, right? So you'd have cleared your memory. So the next step now is also to set up your periods, right, of your calculator. Because when you're doing calculations, you can either be doing your calculations based on 12 periods if you are going to be making be it monthly installments, or you can set your calculator to one period. So we will touch base as well on the impact of these periods to say how does it affect your calculations that you will be doing. So to change the number of periods of your calculator, the first step is to check at what periods is your calculator currently set. So if you say shift again in clear, it's showing 2 per year, meaning that your calculator is currently set at 2 periods per year. So you can change it to 1 period per year, meaning that you're expecting only interest to be compounded once in a year. So to do that, you press 1, then you press shift, then you press PMT button. So the PMT button in orange there is the P per year, meaning period per year. So every time you want to activate the orange buttons, you press the shift button. So to check if your calculator has been set to 1 period per year, you press the shift and the clear all button. Then it's now set at 1 period per year. Then sometimes you may need to do your calculations using beginning of the month or beginning of the year amounts. So for you to do that, to set your calculator to begin mode, you press shift and you also press the MAR button, which is the begin mode. So to check that your calculator is now set to begin mode, it will have BEG on the screen, right? So if you want to remove to begin mode to put it to end of period as well mode, you can also end of year mode, you also say shift, then you press the BEG, then it takes it out. So your calculator normally it's just set at end of year mode. That's the one whereby it doesn't show anything on the screen, but if it's set to begin mode, it then shows the BEG, right? Then on to the other functions of the calculator now that you'll be using most of the time. It's your N, which represents your number of periods in a year, right? So normally it's just the period to say, okay, you want to check how much your money will be worth over a 5-year period. So when you input the period there of 5, you then press N to show that is the period that you're looking at. your investment you're looking to grow. Then when it comes to interest per year, is this IYR button. So it's the nominal interest. If you want to activate effective interest rate, we'll go to the EFF. That's what we'll touch now on. So on the effective interest rate, for instance, you want to check what is the effective interest rate of 8% interest compounded monthly. So the first step to do that would be to first set your calculator to 12 periods per year, right? So there now you'll be able now to say the 8% interest, press 8 and enter the nominal interest. Now to convert that nominal interest to effective interest, you then press the shift and the EFF. So your effective interest is essentially 8.3% if it's going to be compounded monthly, right? And to just clear our memory then. Then our present value, if you want to calculate your present value, you will press the PV after the calculation, so the calculator to show you the PV. Then the payments, if you are doing monthly investments, you are depositing monthly payments every year, or every year you are making monthly payments, or you are doing just one payment a year over a period of 5 years, you will use the PMT function to input all those amounts that you'll be trying to determine whether the future value of that, or you want to get the present value of that. So future value also is just to determine that if you invest money today, how much will it be in the future, right? So to apply just these concepts here, we'll just do a small example whereby we want to look at this example here, and we just calculate that amount there, which is the present value that we're going to calculate. So in our question there, Mike wants to buy a property for 500,000 in 5 years' time. How much should he deposit today in a fixed deposit account that will earn interest of 10% per annum to ensure he has enough funds for this purchase? So for us to be able to calculate that, we want to determine the present value, right? Which is the money that he needs to invest now so that you can see it grow to become 500,000 in 5 years' time. So the first thing to do is to clear our memory. So here we are looking for a present value amount, and the interest of 10% is compounded annually. So we need to set our calculator to 1 period per year first, so for us to be able to do this calculation. So after setting our calculator now, we then go on to punch in the inputs of the 500,000 as an FV, then 5 as our N, which is the period of time, then 10% is our interest, then we compute the present value. So it means that Mike needs to deposit 310,460.66 dollars for him to be able to to have that money grown to $500,000 in 5 years' time to be able to buy that property. So your calculator, how it's programmed, if you input the future value as a positive, it will give you the PV as a negative. It does not mean that it's a negative or anything, but it just goes to show that um, the amount that you deposit will just be 310,000. That's how the calculator is programmed. If you want a positive answer of a PV, you will input your FV as a negative. But if you want to look at it in the context of inflows and outflows, right now the 310,000 is going to be an outflow. Then the 500,000 that comes in will be an inflow. So yes, being giving us an answer of 310,000 like that as a negative, it's actually also correct because it's an outflow that you're going to deposit now. So yeah, that was just the first step of doing your time value of money, determining your present value, and just us applying those functions there that we have discussed. So yeah, that these are normally the inputs that you have to put into your calculator. So if you just if you are studying, normally you need to show the examiner what inputs did you use to get your PV amount. So yeah, that was it. Hopefully this session was helpful for you guys. Thank you and see you in the next session.